Right now, moonboys across the world are asking themselves, is this Bitcoin dump over? Or in fact, is it not over? Well, on Bitcoin's daily chart, over the past couple of months, on the daily, every time the RSI has gone below 50, like it is right now, it has actually signaled that a bounce was imminent. And in fact, we take a look here when the RSI went below 50 back on June 5th. Right here, the price of Bitcoin was 100K. A few days later, 112K, or about 111K. Here, RSI was below 50. This is when the price was about 98K. Then it jumped up to significantly above 100K at 110. And actually, then it ended up running to about 123K. Then the next time it was below 50 on the RSI was back on August 1st. You can see the price dropped down to the 50-day moving average at about 112K, then rallied up to a new all-time high at 124K. And here we are right now, below 50. Currently, the price of Bitcoin at this very second looks to be maybe having a little upside move. So on the daily chart, this doesn't mean the RSI going below 50 guarantees that we're about to be making billions of dollars, but every time we've seen this happen for the past few months, and I mean, even if we go back a lot further, you can go look at it yourself. It's just the daily chart, RSI, going below 50. Every time this happens, a quick bounce has been occurring very shortly after. And many people as well are looking at this weekly chart for Bitcoin, which also, as we can see, is right now basically right on the 21-week moving average, right at about 106. It came all the way down to about 109, 108, but 106 is where this 21-week moving average is. The 50-week is down here at about 95. And realistically, it is possible that this dump is actually already over. As I've been saying, we could go down to, we haven't quite gotten there yet, but the 21-week is right about 106. So we still would need a couple, from right now, actually, since we bounced, we still need we need a 5% dump for Bitcoin to get there. But for Bitcoin at this very second now, to get down to the 50-week, it would take about a 15% dump. But what I'm saying is, every time we've come down to one of these two weekly moving averages, it has been the best time to buy in, and we've just exploded higher. And at this point, basically, you could even consider this pretty much a revisit to the 21-week, considering same thing happened here back on June 16th, about 2 months ago, when we had this correction from about 113 down to about 98K, right underneath 100K. We did not come down to the 21-week, which at the time was about 94K, so a couple thousand off, just like right here, we're a couple thousand off. And then we went on and set new all-time highs. So technically, on a daily chart for Bitcoin and a weekly chart for Bitcoin, it's more than feasible that this dump could actually already be over. And would that surprise anyone, considering, and this blows my mind still, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head. I don't know if only I can see this because of my camera, but my sunburn, it looks so bad. I don't know if it's only showing up and it won't look like this in editing. I guess I'll find out. Anyway, so many people in the past 24 hours, I was seeing big accounts with hundreds and hundreds of retweets, people saying cycle top is in, it's over. Again, every time we get any drop, people are just so anxious. They want this to be the end of the bull market. What are the chances that all of these people that were scared and convinced, I don't know why you would be convinced that the bull market's over based on like a 5% drop. Literally, it has to be people that have never experienced anything in this market for that to be their first reaction, because crypto goes up and down all the time, right? For the past 3 years on a weekly chart, if we look on a weekly chart for Bitcoin, every single time in the past 3 years, going all the way back to the end of 2022, every time we've gone down to this 21 and 50-day moving average, pick one or the other, it's just been bounce after bounce after bounce after bounce after bounce with nothing indicating that this is really the beginning of a bear market. Really, the very first thing we would need to see for Bitcoin to signal that, okay, maybe this bull run is over, it needs to go below the previous lows, which is at like 74,000 US dollars. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is at in 12,000 US dollars. We would need roughly a 35% drop from here right now for a bear market to even be considered. If you're jumping to the conclusion that we're in a bear market because we went down 5%, you're quite literally prematurely calling it, right? There's no indication whatsoever that this trend is over. I think people just want to be the first to claim it's the beginning of a bear market every 5% drop, because really, what is the penalty for that? What is the punishment for that? Nothing, right? Every time Bitcoin drops 2%, you can just tweet out or make a post saying this is the beginning of a bear market. And if it's not, everyone forgets. But then if it does end up being the beginning of a bear market, you can screenshot that and say, hey, look, I called the very beginning of the bear market, and you can get your online cool points. You can get your online recognition. But, if you do it, if you call a bear market every other day, yes, eventually there will be a bear market and you will be right eventually. But it's absolutely insane and silly because there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever that we're even anywhere. We're not close to a bear market yet, right? As I just said, we would need to see Bitcoin break these previous lows, which, as you can see, if we zoom back, we're not even close to it. I mean, look at this. These are the lows. These are the lows. These are lows. These are lows. These are lows. These are lows. Every single time after these lows, we just went higher, right? The structure is very clear. So anybody that's panicking, or like, for example, if you were panicking yesterday because the price was down a little bit, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're a big baby. Maybe take a step back and, spend some time in the markets before you start posting things, I guess. Not to sound like a jerk, but it's just crazy. There's no evidence whatsoever that this is over. And in fact, I want to continue looking at this, but let's actually look at some data. August and September are historically the worst performing months for Bitcoin. We are about to be done with August, and September is about to start. Also, historically, not a great month for Bitcoin. But October, November, and specifically also December, just towards the end of each year, are very, very good performing months. Specifically, October and November are the best performing months for Bitcoin. Next month, when most of the investors say the bull run is over, what does he say? They start buying. Patience pays off for those who hold on. Basically, I'm not selling right here. I personally think that these next few months are going to be bullish, but will we have to maybe settle for another couple months of dumpiness? Maybe, but again, with Ethereum and the entire altcoin market right on the verge of erupting, I have a hard time believing that we're not about to do something really big here. The entire altcoin market, actually, if we go to the total, this is the total 2 chart. If we look at the total 3 chart, we have been stuck right here, right at about $1.1 trillion in the entire altcoin market. And for the entire altcoin market, including Ethereum, so the total 2 chart, we've been stuck at about 1.6 trillion for the past couple of years. But as you can see, if we just scribble this on here, things are about to change, right? This is the most easily defined, most obvious ascending triangle that has ever occurred, I think, that we've ever seen. Very clear ascending support on each massive dump over the last 3 years, and a very clear as day, as clear as you could ever make it, horizontal resistance at the top. And that's exactly where we are right now. And once this thing actually breaks out, all I'm going to say is, like, you do not want to be caught sitting on your hands. You don't want to be caught with your hands down your pants. And you don't want to be caught with sticky fingers, is all I have to say about that. Because things are going to get big really fast once we actually break out here. As well, if you hold Bitcoin for 3 or more years, your odds of losing money are basically zero. If you hold Bitcoin over the long term, not only have you not lost money, you've made an insane amount of money. And that's not an opinion, though, right? Because you can have opinions about Bitcoin. I talk to people that have opinions about Bitcoin all the time. Sometimes they really like it. Sometimes they don't. The one common thing that I find about people who don't like Bitcoin are, one, they have absolutely done zero research on it or just repeat garbage they hear on social media or news networks. And two, I mean, it's just very clear they have no fundamental concept of what Bitcoin is doing. And in fact, it's funny. You would think because I have a YouTube channel and I specifically talk about crypto and Bitcoin, you would think that when I encounter people like that in real life that I defend it. I really don't anymore. I have no patience. Like, if somebody wants to think Bitcoin is a pump and dump scam and they think it's going to zero, I let them think that because I don't care at all. If that's what your opinion is based on no research, and I met somebody in person actually the other day who didn't know I even had crypto, but started talking about it. And one of the reasons I asked, like, why didn't they specifically said it's a pump and dump scam. And I was like, okay. And I explained what a pump and dump scam was. And I explained how it quite literally isn't that. And then they pivoted to this, and this blew my mind. This person that I was talking to in person, who did not know that I had a YouTube channel or even invested in crypto at all, he said that crypto is a currency for fascism. It's a currency for fascists. And I said, what do you mean? What does that mean? What do you mean by that? Give me some details. Please tell me what that means. And I'm sure you're shocked to find out that he didn't know what that meant. He wasn't able to explain what that meant. He had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. But I'm sure he heard that on like MSNBC or something and decided to run with it. And I sat there. I didn't really argue the point other than I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean it's a fascistic currency? What does that mean? Once he failed to explain what he was even talking about, I just kind of stared into the distance for a minute thinking, one, holy cow, I can't wait for this conversation to be over. And two, I can't believe people are so brainwashed, so dumb. But I should believe it because I have plenty of evidence of it every day. Anyway, I got a little sidetracked. I'm honestly still a little shocked that I heard that statement out of someone's mouth. I feel like it makes me just a little less hopeful for the future of humanity that people can be that dumb. But making statements like that, and then when you ask them what that means, they have absolutely nothing to back it up. I still can't wrap my head around it. Anyway. The end of the Bitcoin cycle is where the most money is made. The parabolic phase is imminent. And that's absolutely true as well. The end, and this has been my experience with the last few bull markets, the final 1, 2, maybe 3 months. So and if you're waiting for this to happen for 4 years, 3 months is not that much, right? 4 years is about 48 months. If only 3 of those 48 months are where most of the gains are made, that's a very small window. But that's objectively, that is true. Most of the gains are made in this very small amount of time. As well, Mustache on X says that it seems as though Bitcoin loves the daily EMA 100. A daily close above it would be incredibly bullish for ETH and Bitcoin, and especially for altcoins. Yes, I agree as well. Also, keep in mind, 0 of the 30 market cycle top indicators have fired. So that's bullish. We have not seen any of these tell us, hey, actually top is in. But a lot of Twitter influencers who want engagement are telling us that. Go figure. Altcoins just keep on slamming into the resistance around a 1 trillion. Matter of time until it gives in, and once it does, he's expecting fireworks, says Jelenex. Yeah, of course. We've just been sitting at this same resistance for a couple of years now. When it pops, it's going to pop big, and a lot of money's going to be made. Also, whales are buying ETH like absolute madmen. Look at this. This blue line here is this accumulation of ETH. Wallet balances. And the price is, right now it's going up a little bit. Right over the past couple of weeks, it has been going up ever since, well, it's been kind of going up primarily since the very end of June. So almost 2 months from about 2K to right here at about 5. But ETH is being bought, and that's bullish for the rest of the altcoin market. Final test for ETH this week, according to Jelenex. Last resistance on the chart being tested as support. Hold it, and we're off to the races. That's very big as well. And we're seeing ETH is repeating price action from the previous cycle. We see this rising wedge. This is back in 2021. It broke out when it retested those all-time highs. If this happens again, will you be shocked, or are you planning for that? Or are you anticipating it? All right? Because it looks like the entire altcoin market is ready. Bitcoin dominance has given us more of an indication than any time in the last 3 years as well that the altcoins are about to start heating up. Ethereum specifically is right on the verge of breaking its all-time high. Maybe it gets here, maybe it pumps a little bit, maybe it gets rejected. Maybe it sits right here for a couple days, couple weeks before it actually does. But ultimately, there's a reason millions of ETH is being accumulated specifically right now over these past few weeks. There's a reason it went from about 1,400 to all-time highs in just a couple of months. This thing is getting started. It's getting ready. And as well, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's possible Bitcoin actually continues pumping, or at least reclaiming some of these lost moving averages on the daily and weekly. I mean, actually on the weekly, it has not lost any moving averages, but you can see a clear picture here. Okay, you can see it here. If you zoom in, RSI, all these dumps below 50 have resulted in big moves to the upside. So Bitcoin also not in a bad place. You look at the weekly for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin looks fantastic. Has not even come down to the 21 week yet. Potentially bouncing here. Okay. We have the stock market. Again, we're only 2 days into the trading week. We still have 3 days left. Actually, I believe Friday might be a holiday, so maybe only 2 more days left of trading. But either way, things look bullish. We get these dumps every couple of months, as you see on this weekly chart, right? And we've been getting them for the past 3 years. But look at this. You're silly if you think this is a bearish trend. Okay? Let me do a little thought exercise real quick. Bearish trends do something like this. Bullish trends do something like this. Okay? This is bearish. This is bullish. Okay? Let's look at, I'm sorry that I'm doing this, but I feel like I have to for the maybe 10 viewers out there who just don't get it. This is what Bitcoin has been doing since the end of 2022. Is this bullish or is this bearish? All right, I'm gonna give you this lesson one more time. Remember, this is bearish, this is bullish, okay? All right, now I'm gonna hide the answers. This is what Bitcoin has been doing for the past 3 years. Is this bullish or is this bearish? Good. This is bullish. And as I said, things can start switching bearish once we break these lows. That's around $75,000 per Bitcoin. Until we get to $75,000 per Bitcoin, this is bullish. This is a bull market. Thank you for listening. And get signed up with Femex, BITUNIX, or BYBIT below if you know about altcoins, trade, or buy Bitcoin. Without